Nathan adjusted his tie as he stepped into the chrome and glass monument to ambition. The kind of company that turned LinkedIn dreams into six-figure realities. He was confident, polished, unaware. Today was supposed to be the start of something big. The panel interview had been scheduled by a polite HR assistant named Valerie, someone he didn't remember meeting. But Nathan didn't think too hard about names, especially women's names. He was focused on optics, posture, keywords. He didn't know that upstairs, 3 executives were about to meet the real him, and so was she. The boardroom was cool, silent, efficient. Exactly the image Nathan wanted to reflect. 3 professionals sat across from him, smiling with that practiced warmth that made you forget the stakes. They began with the usual. Walk us through your resume. What makes you the right fit? Nathan responded smoothly, peppering in buzzwords like synergy and disruption. Then one of the panelists, Monica, clicked to the next slide in his prepared case study. The screen didn't show charts. It showed a photo. Nathan, at a hotel bar, kissing someone who wasn't his girlfriend. Silence collapsed the room. He froze. Monica tilted her head. Do you recognize this scenario? Slide 2. A screenshot of a message. Can't wait for our next meeting. From him, time-stamped 2 days after their anniversary. Slide 3. Her LinkedIn post. Sometimes the best HR strategy is exposure. The panel didn't speak. They didn't need to. Nathan's mouth opened, then shut. His pulse roared in his ears. This is personal, he stammered. Monica raised an eyebrow. Actually, it's very professional. We assess integrity here. From the corner of the room, a woman stood. Valerie, the HR assistant. She smiled. She wasn't with HR. She was the ex. And she just dropped the mic. The room stayed silent. And Nathan finally understood the setup. Nathan shifted in his seat, suddenly too hot, under tailored wool. His voice cracked as he tried to spin it. Something about privacy, hacking, misunderstanding. But, one interviewer calmly scrolled through a tablet, glancing up with thinly veiled judgment. We take candidate transparency very seriously, she said, not blinking. Nathan reached for his water. His hand trembled. They weren't just disinterested, they were prepared. One of them even had his dating app profile pulled up. Same photos, same lies. The room had turned into a courtroom, and the jury was already done deliberating. He realized this wasn't an interview. It was sentencing. They flipped to another slide, a logo. Mira Inc., a startup he thought he'd applied to. Except it didn't exist. Not really. Mira, Latin for to watch. Nathan's confusion deepened. Valerie, still standing, finally spoke. You didn't apply here. We found you, and we watched. His eyes snapped to her. This isn't legal, he hissed. But there was no aggression left, just deflation. Valerie didn't flinch. I'm not here to ruin your life, Nathan. Just to make sure no one else lets you fake another one. The fake company, the curated site, the scheduler. Every detail had been hers. Strategic, ironic, beautifully public. For the first time, Nathan had no words. He left without a word. No handshake. No thanks. Just a tight jaw and shoes clicking across polished floors. The elevator mirrored his reflection in triplicate. Man, liar, casualty. The doors closed too slowly, forcing him to look at himself one last time. Valerie remained in the room, quietly packing up her laptop. One of the interviewers leaned in and whispered, You know, I almost feel bad for him. Valerie smiled thinly. I don't. The screen behind her faded to black. No applause. No drama. Just a clean exit. Strategic revenge isn't loud. It's clinical. And today, it wore heels and carried receipts. Valerie sat by the window, latte in hand, typing with calm precision. On her screen, her updated LinkedIn profile. She erased recruiter and typed instead, freelance accountability consultant. No company listed. Just a tagline, cleaning the ecosystem one facade at a time. She paused, smiled, then clicked save. A notification popped up. Another connection request. Probably someone who had seen the viral post. She didn't chase clout, but she didn't run from it either. What Nathan underestimated wasn't just her memory. It was her ability to weaponize narrative. In a world where image was everything, she'd made the truth louder than his lies. Later that night, Valerie uploaded a file to a private HR network. It was titled, Case Study, Authenticity and Consequences. No names, just blurred screenshots and key lessons. It would be used next month at a corporate ethics conference. Her quiet masterpiece. She didn't need to name him. The message was universal. When you build your career on buzzwords and betrayal, eventually someone calls the bluff. Valerie wasn't interested in retribution anymore. She was archiving, teaching, letting the silence speak loudest. She clicked submit, and just like that, the story moved from revenge to curriculum. Somewhere else in the city, Nathan sat alone at a cafe, staring at a screen he couldn't scroll past. The post had legs. People were talking, sharing, speculating. He tried reporting it, but there was nothing actionable, nothing fake, just receipts and silence. Meanwhile, Valerie walked through downtown, sunlight warming her blazer, headphones in. She didn't check the views. She didn't need to. She'd already moved on. The power wasn't in exposing him. It was in proving he could never outrun the version of himself he so carefully edited. And now, thanks to her, everyone could see it in high resolution. The conference room was filled with quiet professionals, recruiters, HR execs, brand consultants. Valerie stood at the podium, poised, as the slide behind her lit up. The illusion of reputation. She didn't mention Nathan. She didn't have to. Her voice was calm, practiced. She spoke about how lies don't stay in inboxes, about how integrity can't be optimized, only live. A few audience members exchanged knowing glances, murmurs rippling. They'd read the post. They'd seen the screenshots. But here, in this room, it wasn't about gossip. It was a case study, a lesson. And Valerie? She wasn't the ex. She was the expert. Nathan sat alone again, light from the screen washing his face in cold blue. Job listings blurred together. He clicked and refreshed, clicked and refreshed. His inbox pinged. Another rejection. We've decided to move forward with other candidates. He didn't know how many companies had seen the viral post. How many whispered when they saw his name. His resume was polished, sure. But no one trusted polish anymore. They wanted authenticity. And all he had left was denial. He tried opening his portfolio again, then shut the laptop. For once, he knew it wasn't the algorithm. It was him. Back at her apartment, Valerie carefully slid the printed presentation into a black folder labeled Strategic Ethics, Private Consulting. It was clean, tactile, final, dial. She tucked it onto a shelf between titles like Corporate Power Plays and The Psychology of Influence. She'd already had 3 inquiries about speaking engagements. Companies wanted to know how she did it, how she exposed the truth without a lawsuit, without ever raising her voice. Valerie didn't see it as revenge. She saw it as clarity. And the folder, it wasn't a trophy. It was a tool, ready for next time, if there ever was one. Valerie's inbox lit up again. Another message flagged with urgent. This one came from a startup founder, burned by a co-founder's hidden misconduct. He wanted Valerie's help. Not legal help. Narrative control. She typed back easily. Let's talk about reputational hygiene. It was her new specialty. Not crisis, PR, not character assassination, just truth, served clean and sharp. She didn't need revenge to feel powerful anymore. She had something better. Leverage. Quiet, strategic, undeniable leverage. With every client, every news story, she made the ecosystem smarter and a little less hospitable to men like Nathan. Across town, Nathan was erasing himself. The dating profile was first deactivated with a click. Then the LinkedIn headline, marketing strategist, disruptive thinker, deleted. Social media bios went blank. One by one, his digital echoes faded. Not because he felt guilty, but because he no longer controlled the narrative. He didn't trust his own branding anymore. Every word he posted felt like bait for another reveal. Valerie hadn't just exposed him, she'd infected his self-image. Now, even the truth he told himself felt suspicious. And that was the real fallout. Not unemployment, not embarrassment, just identity corrupted. Valerie walked through the co-working space after hours, heels tapping softly. She turned off the lights one by one. The city glowed outside, a mirror of ambition and illusion. Her reflection followed her in the glass. Stronger now, more exact. She'd set out to teach one man a lesson, but it had evolved into something bigger, something useful. Reputation wasn't about being clean. It was about being consistent. And when people failed that test, she wasn't afraid to hold up the mirror. Quietly, strategically. She locked the door behind her and didn't look back. Some stories only need to be told once. Nathan sat in near darkness, the only light coming from the city bleeding through the blinds. Unopened mail piled beside him. Interview rejections. A final notice from his lease. The monitor was black, reflecting his face like a stranger. He had built his career on charm, buzz, curated credibility. But now, the silence was louder than applause ever was. No more panels to impress. No LinkedIn alerts. Just a hollow inbox and the echo of his own decisions. He'd rehearsed so many answers over the years. But this stillness was the first time he was forced to ask himself real questions, and he had none. On a rooftop above the city, Valerie sipped wine as the last draft uploaded. Her new project, digital disclosures, reputation as accountability. It wasn't just a proposal. It was a philosophy, a framework. Truth wasn't a weapon. It was a system. And if used carefully, it could create safer spaces, sharper decisions, and fewer Nathans in positions of power. She didn't name names anymore. She didn't have to. Her work was becoming policy, workshops, keynotes. She smiled at the skyline. Every office tower glowing with unread emails and unseen lies. Let them squirm. Let them adjust. The new rules were coming, and this time, they weren't optional. 2 towers stood side by side. One, dark and quiet. Like Nathan's inbox, like his name in the recruiter circles. The other, alive with light and movement. Like Valerie's calendar, like her influence spreading quietly through boardrooms and workshops. Revenge had never been her goal. But consequence? That was art. She didn't have to ruin him. She just had to let the truth breathe. The city didn't know her name, but it knew her work. And in a world obsessed with image, she'd redefined what visibility really meant. After all, not every storm is loud. Some are surgical, some are strategic, and some wear lipstick and walk away.